Is there a God? Why does God allow suffering? Because I hated thinking about God like this guy in the sky and he was watching and he was judging me. How dare he, you know? And the way that I was brought up was very Christian and Catholic, Protestant really. But the same thing, it was that I'm gonna be punished. I'm going to hell if I do bad things. But that's just not true. Here's what I believe. The search itself is holy. If you're looking for God, you're heading in the right direction. Welcome back to Liberate Your Bliss. I'm Chelsea, and I'm just so glad you're here because today I'm going to explore the real spiritual questions that people are asking right now. These are the ones that keep coming into my inbox, and these aren't the polite ones, not the Sunday school ones, but the raw ones, the ones that millions of people are typing into Google and YouTube every single day. Questions like, is there a God? Why does God allow suffering? Do I have a soul? What happens when we die? And then the flip side, people aren't just asking. They're also seeking answers through energy work, manifestation, sound baths, psychedelics, trauma healing. The internet is going absolutely crazy with it. So in this episode, I really want to weave these threads together. The big questions, the modern answers, my own story, and most importantly, how it all connects to your life right now. And guys, this search is universal because if you've ever wondered, is there a God? You are not alone. In fact, it is the top searched spirituality question in the entire world. I find that comforting, honestly, because it means doubt isn't just mine or yours, it's universal. And doubt is part of faith. Searching is really part of believing. And I remember when I was lying awake in my San Francisco apartment, I was looking out at the Salesforce Tower. It was all lit up crystal clear in the middle of the night. And I asked that exact question after a 5-MEO experience. God, do you really exist? And I had just come out of big heartbreak. I was living in chaos and beauty all at once. And I wanted to know if it all meant something bigger or if I was just floating through this pain for no reason. And the truth, I didn't get the clearest answer, but I did start to notice these really weird small things that you call synchronicities. Like a song lyric at the perfect time would come on the radio. I would see 111 everywhere. I would think of a person and they would call me. So sometimes the answer isn't words. Sometimes the answer is in vibration. So if you've been wrestling with that question yourself, take a breath right now. Inhale and exhale. Feel that breath move through you. That's life. That's spirit. And maybe that's God right there. When I think about why God allows suffering, Charlie Kirk was just assassinated. We've got a genocide going on in Palestine. We've got Jewish people being murdered in the streets. We had almost a presidential assassination. We have all of these crazy things happening all over the world. So if God exists, why so much suffering? And on top of that, I think of friends who have gone through cancer and lost their children or their loved ones, people who have battled addiction, even the heartbreak of loss. When I lost Joey, who felt like my soulmate, my dog, that pain hit me so deep. And it's natural to ask why the suffering. And honestly, I don't believe there's one answer for this. And anyone who tries to hand you a tidy explanation is probably oversimplifying something. But here's what I've seen in my own life. Suffering cracks us open. It brings us to our knees. And in that rawness, love can pour in ways it never could have when we were armored up and comfortable. When Joey died, Andre and I had to sit in unbearable grief. But it also rearranged our priorities. And it reminded us that life isn't about status or money or the grind. It's about presence and about love. And about time with the ones who matter most. Suffering didn't feel holy, but the transformation it sparked, that did. And 2 months after Joey died, I was literally driving down the street to a pet shop and I turned my head and I saw what looked like Joey again. And I had to pull over. And obviously I had to check in and see how she was. And this dog had the exact same hurt paw that my dog had. When I went into the pet store, they said that this dog had been here for a couple months. And that they were feeding her and she had no home. So I called Andre and I was like, Andre, I am bringing this dog home. And she got right on my bike and she came home with me. And she sits in the exact same places that Joey used to sit. She cuddles with me exactly the same. And you gotta wonder, Are miracles real? Could this be my dog back? Does it make any sense? Could she have soul jumped into another dog? And I can't give you a scientific answer for that, but I can tell you that her coming into my life healed my grief in ways that I didn't even know I needed, because that's what it is all about, believing in miracles. And if we can believe in miracles, I can't even imagine what the world would turn into instead of just focusing on all of the suffering. Because when we focus on all the suffering, we receive more of that. It's not, I'll believe it when I see it. It's when I believe it, I will see it. And if you're listening to this and you're in the middle of suffering right now, I really want you to know you're not alone. And even if you can't see it yet, even if you want to throw your headphones across the room from me saying this, love has not abandoned you. When I try to explain my energy healing, it's very hard. And a lot of people say, I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't come and experienced it, because it's such a felt thing. And when we're talking about spirit, we're talking about something that doesn't make sense in the senses, right? Something we can see, touch, taste, smell, or hear. Those are the senses in this 3D reality that come from being here in this physical plane. And I think it's hard for some of us to think beyond those senses because it's not something that words can express, right? There's no words that can be used to describe what energy healing is like. But when you go and you experience it, it makes sense. And then you can talk to other people that have experienced it. It's the same thing of doing mushrooms or plant medicine or having any sort of those highs. If you've never done it, you can't really understand it. And that's how I feel about explaining God. And I'm not talking about God like he's some deity up in the clouds with his shame stick, letting you know you're going to heaven, you're going to hell. When I think of God, I think about creation. I think about the zero when we talk about creation, which is the blackness. In the black, in the dark, everything exists. Think about a womb, for example. In the womb, there is nothing there right now. It is empty space, a black hole. Yet, with energy, we're able to create a baby from the darkness. It just comes into the darkness. So when we're trying to explain creation, right, everything exists in this dark place, but you can't see it yet. So when you bring light, which I talk about as the one, into the experience, we can then experience the darkness as light, but it depends on how much light. So we can experience light with the number 0 and 1, 0.000000000000001, like the tiniest fraction of light. Or we can experience 1000000. So in the darkness, with energy coming into it, we can experience light in infinite ways. Yet here we are in this human plane, believing that the life that we've had and the programs that we're running and the beliefs that we're running is exactly what it is, and we're stuck in that. And that's bullshit. We're not stuck. Because where do thoughts come from? I'm going to pause and let you think about it for a second. Where do thoughts come from? Because our thoughts create our feelings. And when you feel something, it's going to help you decide how we're going to take action, right? And then however we take action is basically what our life is. So if we change our thoughts, you can change your life. This is a book written by Wayne Dyer. It's amazing for anybody that hasn't read it. But changing your thoughts, right? You hear all about manifestation and all this stuff. It's like, how do you change your thoughts? You know? What am I going to sit in lotus pose outside in nature and think positive until all my pain goes away? No, you can't do that. You cannot think your way to manifestation. You have to feel that way. You have to feel worthy of love. You have to feel like you're enough. You have to feel safe in order to manifest this energy. So thoughts come from energy in the brain that create certain outcomes and thoughts and feelings. So if you change your energy, you change your life. And in trying to explain energy, this is what I'm talking about. It's really challenging. So if you think about energy can be light expressed from the microscopic amounts all the way to the maximum amounts, the highest to the lowest. And then here we are as a human being coming as spirit, as light into a physical body. Because guys, I hate to break it to you, you are not your physical body. You are a soul. You are a soul that is incarnated many times. You are light, but you are light experiencing light through your physical vessel to experience love as love. And that's very confusing. I know that's very confusing because we enter into Earth, which is a polar field. And in a polar field, it's like we cannot have peace without war, up without down, right without left, top without bottom, love without hate, right? In order to experience something as something, which is coming into the two, if it's this, it can't be that. When we come into this experience and we're inner children, we remember and we know that we are light. Every child comes here full of light. They're not coming in here to do terrible things. If anybody's doing terrible things and creating suffering on this planet, it's because they suffered. It's because they suffered in their childhood or in their adolescence. And this is why inner child healing is so important, because if we can understand that our life is a creation of our energy, and if we are creating energy that's suffering, if we are creating a life that has suffering in it, it is because we are stuck in the pole of the 3D experience. We're not in the center, because truly we are spiritual beings in the center. We're not meant to be going pole to pole. So for any of you that are doing plant medicine journeys all the time and you're not feeling any better, it's because you're chasing a high. And with that high, it has to come into balance and hit that low. The pendulum will swing like this. So people that are going and doing energy healing, and you come and you experience that high, you're gonna have to experience the low until it comes into balance. That's the way that this works. Until you stop chasing highs, until you come to the center, until you come to the heart, where spirit exists, where you can see gratitude in everything, where you can surrender to the experience, where you can trust that if it's happening to you, it's happening for you. It's showing you what you're creating, because you are the driver in this experience. You are not a passenger in this life. You've created everything, and anyone around you is co-creating in the same frequency, because you are a frequency. So for those of you watching this, that's really confusing, right? Because how on earth are we living here with all of this suffering in the world? Well, a lot of people have gotten lost in the polarity and they've forgotten that they're spirit. We've taken God out of everything. And I get it, you guys. I get taking God out. I was an atheist too, because I hated thinking about God like this guy in the sky, and he was watching and he was judging me. How dare he, you know? And the way that I was brought up was very Christian and Catholic. Protestant, really. But the same thing. It was that I'm going to be punished. I'm going to hell if I do bad things. But that's just not true. And I think religion has really lost its way, because God is not punishing you. God loves you unconditionally, and there is no polar charge on it. God doesn't see anything as good or bad. God just gives you exactly what you want. So if you want to live in fear, if you want to live in suffering, if that's the energy that you're using in your body to create your life, they'll give it to you until you decide you want to change something else. But that's when you find the power of your soul. And we can't do that, you guys, by leaving the body and going and doing all these earth medicine journeys. I love them. I've done them. They're amazing. But at some point, you got to stop being spiritual and you got to come live life. Because we can't all go up to Ubud, play the ukulele, and pretend that we don't need material things. Because you can't make a difference with no money. And money is energy currency. And I know I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but I think it's really, really important. We become spiritual and we think that we have to suffer because we believe that money is the root of all evil with all the programs. When in reality, if you have money, you can change the world. So let's not forget that we're in a world where anything is possible. You don't have to give up money to be spiritual. You don't have to give up your material things if you love them to be spiritual. You don't have to live in a world where suffering doesn't exist when there's suffering. Of course there's going to be suffering in this world. There has to be. That's what this world is. It's us coming in as love to experience love, and then with our free will, which is such a gift in this life, to decide what we want to create. So you have to have bad and dark teachers, and you have to have light teachers so that you can decide which one you want to be. Because the universe doesn't judge you. The only person judging you on your creation is you. So that brings me to my next question that everyone's messaging me. What is a soul and what happens when we die? Do I have one? And I think it's really funny that we ask that. We're asking Google to prove the unprovable. We want a yes or no, but the soul isn't a math problem. This is why AI will never be able to replace light work or any work regarding emotions and feelings and compassion. So for me, I started to believe in the soul, not because someone convinced me, but because I could feel it. Those moments of deja vu, the dreams, the sense that when you meet someone, you've known them for lifetimes. It was too real to not be real. One time I did this soul retrieval journey, and in it, it's the craziest thing. I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. This was before COVID. And I was really struggling because I didn't love living in Boston. I didn't love living in LA. I was really struggling with not really liking where I was ever anyways. I had FOMO. I was chasing everything everywhere. And I did a soul retrieval journey with one of my amazing mentors named Zaya. And when I was there, what happened was I was on this boat, and the boat was on fire. And my family was on it. And I turned around behind me. We couldn't turn the boat around because the whole island was on fire that we were at. The port was on fire. And in front of us was a black storm. This is what my vision was. And the waves were huge. The boat was about to capsize. And I jumped off of the boat and I became a turtle. And I know this sounds really crazy, but if anybody that's worked with me or anybody that's done soul retrieval work, you'll totally understand what this is really about. And the turtle showed me how to pull my arms and my legs inside the shell and ride out the wave until the storm was over. And when the storm was over, I came up to this beautiful island that looked almost like Hawaii or Bali. And I was like, I just wrote it down. I didn't know. This was in 2019. 2020 hits, COVID comes around, and there I am in Hawaii, meditating in nature, going on hikes and surrounded by so much love, not having to go into work and having the best experience of my entire life when everything else in the world was suffering. Everything was on fire. I lost friends. I got kicked out of wedding. It was horrible because I didn't believe in this, what I was seeing out there. I didn't believe in the COVID virus, that it was out to get us. I felt something in my soul that it wasn't truth. And I fought with a lot of friends about this one. A lot of friends told me that I was extremist, I was super far right. And I gotta tell you, I was like a super Democrat at that point. I was listening to the song that was like the song Imagine, because I wanted everyone to have healthcare and food and all these things. But then when COVID happened, I just saw the system was such bullshit. And in that, I ended up leaving the system and leaving San Francisco, and I was living in nature. And in nature, it was like it spoke to me. I felt inner peace for the first time in my life. And in that, I knew that there was more to life than what I thought. I was paying $5,000 a month with my best friend in San Francisco to live in a shoebox, which was luxury with a doorman and all of that. When in reality, I look back at those days, and as amazing as those years were, I would never move back into a high-rise. It looks like prison to me. So things shift all of the time. My soul was calling me to a different way of life. And now I live in Bali, and I'm free. And I'm in nature every single day. So that's what I'm talking about. It's this inner knowing, this inner calling that there's something more for you than the life that you're living. And if you're feeling that, explore it. Explore spirituality. Explore plant medicine. Explore anything that'll bring you to your soul. And once you find it, make sure that you're finding your soul while in your body. Because that's the other big thing I want to talk about here. When our mind and body is out of alignment, meaning we're in our heads all the time, and this is pretty much the entire society. We're anxious about the future. We're depressed about the past. And we're thinking, burnt out, super busy, or super exhausted because we're in our heads. We're in our heads. We're not in the present moment. And I struggle with that a lot. I used to. I have to work on it. And through doing nervous system work, which we can't bypass the nervous system, the reason we're in our head is because we don't feel safe in our body. And we don't feel safe in our body because of trauma. And trauma is not what happened. It's the residue of what happened to your body. So when you're starting to do this spiritual work, it's really normal when we can't get out of the mind to go and start chasing soul work, to start chasing plant medicine. But if you do it without the body, you're just further pushing the agenda of that polar swing I was talking about, where you're chasing highs. And you're never, ever, 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 ever going to land if you're chasing highs in the center. If you can do nervous system regulation, up-regulating breath for depression, down-regulating breath for anxiety, and get the mind and body connected again. You can do this through energy healing as well, right? This is where you allow the body to show you somatically what it's feeling, and you can release the feelings and allow the mind to come back in from a different place, because a lot of us are stuck in loops from childhood, from past lives, and from all kinds of crazy things. When we get the mind and body in alignment, we have peace in the nervous system, which means we're safe. And then when you plug in and you do the soul work, you won't be meditating with all of those thoughts. You'll be meditating from deep peace. You'll be able to actually hear your soul. Because if we meditate without the body from the mind, it's like levitating under a waterfall. the to-do list, all the things we have to do, the busy trap. So when we get the mind and body in alignment, we have peace. Then we plug the body into the soul, we have power. We see that life is our power, our gift, our creation, and we can start to change it, and we can take responsibility, and we can reparent the inner child. And through that, we start to see what unconditional love is for self. We acknowledge our patterns that are keeping us in suffering and in survival. We acknowledge them. It doesn't mean we like them. And then we accept them one by one. And that's the work. This is where a lot of practitioners in Bali are getting it wrong. They just keep doing energy sessions without this integration work of learning to accept the parts inside of you that are shamed, that are in anger, that are in guilt. And we bring those pieces of our soul home one by one in a process that I like to call soul retrieval. Another amazing book for this is called No Bad Parts. It's incredible. And we bring those parts home and we start to accept the parts of us that are selfish, that are angry, that are jealous, that are insecure one by one. And we do that through triggers, right? We're triggered in life. We're having conflict in life. And that's showing us that there's a part of us that's in separation from unconditional love. Bring that part home, accept. And in the end, we can see beyond the story that we've been running our whole life. Because once we understand our patterns, we can choose different ones, take the power back, and embrace that all of it was a gift. Because this is the soul work that really needs to happen. Because when we plug the soul back into the mind, from an integrated place with the body, we have purpose. And that's how I can stand here and hold the space that I hold. Because I'm in my body now. I'm plugging into an unconditional loving current from the universe in my soul that can come and hold and support me while I help others through their journey. And that took my pain and all of the trauma I've been through, the sexual abuse, the molest, the rape, all of it, the bad breakups, the betrayals. And when I plugged that back into my mind, I turned my pain into purpose. And I have gratitude for it all. And that is the embracing step that brings you into unconditional love. And from that place, rather than loving another human at the expense of yourself, you can be love because you're loving you first, filling up your cups, filling up your soul, and then stepping into a world where you can help others. And that's the path, my friends. And that brings me to the next question. When we're doing this parts work, sometimes we have to see that we're fearing death. And what happens when we die? That's another question that people ask. Well, I don't really know. None of us really do. But we've had people that have had near-death experiences, that have experienced a white light. We've had people that have gone in and experienced unconditional love and come back with their purpose. And from my plant medicine experiences, which blasted me way too far out of my body, you guys, I wouldn't recommend this for anybody with sexual trauma. But again, it's a gift for me. I saw that in the end, there is nothing but love. And in that love, it's like an orgasmic lava lamp of light where your soul and your soul family, it's not human love. Like there's no Chelsea there. It's this love that continues to expand and contract in a way that you can't explain it. So it's back to the beginning of this podcast. You just can't explain it, but you can experience it. And once you've gotten there, then the journey of this life is taking that place deep within your heart space and living there and here in the physical so that you can shine that light and be that love to the world. We're not meant to keep leaving our bodies and going to a place to get that. That is an out-of-body experience. We are meant to be embodied in light. So for any of you out there doing 4-day breathwork, 4-day Kundalini training without the integration support, it's dangerous. And here's why. If we have not integrated the mind and body and we start doing soul work, when you release those emotions and you've left your body, you've gone up and out of your crown and you're up orbiting through astral space and nobody's keeping you safe. There is a lot of bullshit that happens from this physical plane to unconditional love. There are entities. There are dark spirits. There are shapeshifters. So be very, very careful when you're doing this energy work because it truly can be disorienting, especially if you're carrying sexual trauma where somebody's energy has entered into your body unwillingly. Because you guys, every time we have sex with someone, that energy imprints into our body. And that's why womb clearing and yoni work is becoming so big, and trying to explain that here, that's another podcast. But what comforts me in all of this is that energy never disappears. It just transforms. So the more you can love yourself, the more you can embody your energy, the more you know that you're not going to vanish into nothing. And when we're thinking about death, if you've lost someone, I want you to think of someone you've lost. Notice the way that they still show up for you. The songs, the smells, and sudden memories. Maybe that's another way that you can prove that the soul exists. So guys, this whole conversation, we're trying to bring words and intellect into something that is experiential, because we have to feel this in order to understand the truth. And I love that, because honestly, that's where my own breakthroughs came from. It wasn't in reading books. It wasn't in podcasts, but it was lying under the stars with friends in Belize talking about healing. It was in sound baths and psychedelic journeys where my ego cracked open and I saw love everywhere. And of course, there's a shadow side with this, right? The commodification of spirituality is real. Manifestation can be sold like a quick fix. Think positive, get rich, and all that bullshit. It skips the depth. So how do we tie all this together? Here's what I believe. The search itself is holy. If you're looking for God, you're heading in the right direction. Watching manifestation videos is spiritual. Crying out in suffering is holy. And at some point, you have to stop searching outside of yourself, and you have to come home, because this work is not external, it's internal. And that's when the shift will really happen. When instead of typing questions into a search bar, you sit in silence and ask your own heart. Because I guarantee if you could get into the body and out of that head and out of that fear loop, and you asked your heart, is there a God? Where in my body do I feel divine love? Why does suffering happen? What is this teaching me about compassion? Do I have a soul? What moments have proven that love never dies? And when you begin to live those questions, instead of just asking them and looking external, your entire life will change. So guys, I'll leave you with this. Whatever question is burning in your heart right now, honor it. Don't rush to fix it. Don't rush to answer it. Don't go get another book, although some of the ones I recommended are pretty damn good. Let your heart guide you. Let it soften you and let it open you, because the search itself is the path. And your bliss, it's not hidden, guys. It's not out there. It's already here, waiting for you to notice. So thank you for being here with this total vent session about God on Liberate Your Bliss. And if this episode touched you, share it with a friend, leave a review, or just take one moment today to breathe and notice that love is here always. And until next time, may you feel the love all in your bones, find bliss in the small moments, and may you remember, liberation begins within. See you next time.